down, coming out of PE town. One drink, find a shot, never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, have a Gino shot.
Gino's shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Take the picture off. There we go. We are live. We are live, and we're getting the picture off. And I'm in, and I've got a different camera, and I've got the right camera. Our tech has changed because Gary is in the in the Hamadulas, in the Titsikama today, and we've had an afternoon show for the first time ever, I think. How special is Helen Zille? Indeed, we've decided instead of doing the Saturday show, we are doing this one for pre-recording. We'll rebroadcast on Saturday. So hello to the Saturday people. I hope you're enjoying the Saturday. Weather's been so lekker this Saturday. Well, I hope you also have got something in your hand, especially on Saturday night, whether you've got a little drink. I've actually poured myself a little gin. I know it's a little early, but we'll have a go at it. We'll have a go at a bit of gin today. Thank you to our sponsors, Fitch and Leeds, and of course, Spar and Fitch and Leeds have been fantastic since the beginning of lockdown. We've had a fantastic time with them, and they've supported us all the way. And of course, Mobia for our internet as well. And today we have Helen Zille on the show, yes, but we'll start out with a little song. So tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what you're doing at the moment. Are you at work? What you're doing? And let's see the comments, and I'll sing the comments for you. All right, let's have a look at the comments. Oi, cause you think, Colo, I just can't handle it. Where's the comments? Let me see them. That's right, best sure that you subscribe to my YouTube. Dawn Taylor's watching. Oh yes, she says she loves Helen and she loves me too. I'm glad you love me, Dawn Taylor and Derek Nesbitt. He's the guy from the Herald watching too. Gordon Wright. Ghislaine Saterdag is vandag is reg. Gordon. There goes Lee and Richie. Afternoon, having a coffee break, waiting to watch me. It's right, and Helen, Kevin the Reader, sitting on my bed, low. What's low? All right, you gotta be cool, relax, get here. I got off my tracks in the backseat. Tanya Pretorius says hello, Gino, where you watching from? That's right. I want to find out where you're watching from. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube as well. Don't forget. Oh, hey. So we got some people online in the afternoon. That is fantastic. Stepping away from the work for a little bit. That's wonderful. Send me those comments. Let me see where you're coming from. What's happening? You gotta be cool, relaxed, get hip. Got off my tracks in the backseat. Tanya is watching from a desk at work, getting paid to watch Gino Spot all day. Oh, you better make sure your boss is not watching. That's right, Krista L says, how's Gino? And Griselle Hart, all the way from Cathcart. We're both in our recliners. That's the way to spend the afternoon. Oh dear, the husband's got a broken foot. That's not nice. Gordon Wright watching from a red and rainy Karoo. That's our life. Good news. Jennifer Lynn says hello. Oh, I'm so here to hear that. Gordon Wright saying that it's raining in the Karoo. Does that mean that Grafrenet's dam is getting full, waiting for load shedding, says Derek Nesbitt. I hope you got enough light to draw your next cartoon for the EP Herald. And Jocelyn Young, how's it from your desk as well? You bastards are sitting there. You know, it's getting paid for this now, really. And Tanya Pretorius, I will be fired. Indeed, you will be. You just got to watch through one eye and then make sure you're working. Janet Wormersley, hello. And hi, Gino. I love the suit. Thank you so much. This is my Bathurst suit. I thought I'd advertise for the Eastern Cape, But the pineapples. We have Alvin Reeves from the Herald as well. That's what, that's the way to live life, Alvin, especially when in lockdown, when everybody's going completely bedorned. We've got to try and keep the bedorned in certain limits, All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a little advert for Fitch and Leeds, of course, our Fitch and Leeds sponsor, and for Spar. Thank you, Spar, as well. So let's have a look at the Fitch and Leeds, and we'll get our guest on and get going. That's right, baby.
Maurice Merlingson's mind swirled with ideas.
So, what's the story, Maurice?
But it was never the right time to share his work. The demand was only a distraction.
Darling, just share.
Dad, I have a story.
With innovation as his only destination, he set off for new discoveries, a land of uncharted stories. No idea was worth sharing until he had redefined perfection. But the perfect discovery had left him behind.
Hey, you look like you've been on a journey. So what's your story?
For exceptional ideas are meant to be shared.
All right. Zille.
So great to be with you, Gino.
Yeah, I mean, this week I was thinking we had some guests for Thursday, but we've spoken to them and they've moved on for you to come and chop in on a Thursday afternoon. Isn't it fantastic? And I'm so thankful to you as well, because now I can spend the weekend in St. Francis now, because I don't have to do the Saturday show.
Just make damn sure you come back by Monday.
I will
I'm
do.
saying to you.
I will do.
No,
Absolutely.
Having a long weekend now.
I'm coming to the
I'm
Walmer
watching
Town
you.
Hall.
I'm watching you.
Indeed, of course. And you're up in PE. Why? Were you doing some talks here, doing some electioneering?
I was sent up here for a month to help pull all the strings together for the big day on Monday.
Wow.
It's make or break, do or die for the Bay on Monday.
Yes,
and we've just got to make sure we pull it off.
Absolutely. I was just, you were talking about the 50+1 story as well. There's this coalitions thing, and that that interests me as well, because especially in a place like NMB where it's been coalitions all the time. We know that there's been problems. When is it not a problem to have a coalition?
Well, it's not a problem to have a coalition when you don't have a coalition.
Yeah.
Now, the important thing is you want stable government.
Yeah.
And you can either have really bad government that steals all the money, that's the yellow party, the yellow of your pineapple.
Yes.
And then there is the blue, the entire background.
Yes.
And everything that is true.
Okay, true.
There is the blue. And we provide stable government that gets things done.
Yeah.
And everywhere we have an overall majority, life gets better for everybody, because services are delivered and people can have a stable and clean government.
This is true. I've got Ian von Memete here. He's going to pop in quickly for a question or two as well, because I can see he's chomping at the bit. Go in. So welcome Ian as well. Thank you for popping in.
Yeah, so you have led coalition governments twice. First time Cape Town, 2006, the turnaround, and then Western Cape. Well, 2009, an outright win for them.
Yes, we got an outright win in 2009.
So the difference between ruling Cape Town as part of a coalition and being an outright win in 2011, what is the difference in terms of how much you can deliver?
Well, it makes an enormous difference, because if you are in a coalition, as I was in Cape Town in 2006, with 6 other tiny parties, some of which only have just enough votes to get one single seat, and then they hold the balance of power. Often for them, it's got nothing to do with the principles, with the delivery, with the manifesto, with the constitutional responsibilities. They're looking for personal advantage, and they will shop around for a party that will deliver it to them. And if you try and move into a particular direction, if you try to cut out corruption, if you do anything that makes them uncomfortable, they can simply say, well, we'll go to the ANC and give them a majority. So it makes the government inherently unstable and makes it very, very difficult to do things. And after we had that coalition in Cape Town, the voters liked what we could do, even in coalition, and enough voters saw what we were able to achieve, and so they gave us an overall majority in the whole province in 2009. That was just 3 years later. And ever since then, I've governed as a majority, and we eventually got a 2/3 majority in Cape Town because that's how much people like DA governance. And that's why we've had stable governance, both in the province and in the city. And it's because we managed to get that 50% plus one, that magic number. Now, people often say to me, well, why 50% plus one? You need that to put together a government. You can't govern with a minority because that is totally unstable. And if you don't get 50% plus one to have a majority of the seats in council on your own, you have to put together coalitions so that with other parties you make that. And if we fall under 50% in Nelson Mandela Bay, don't think that we're the only party that can put together a coalition. Not at all. Then the other big party, the Yellow Party, gets to potentially look for coalition partners as well. And we've got the EFF coming up now as the third biggest party. And watch them. They may well do a coalition with the ANC to get over 50% first. And so then you sit with the problem of having an ANC-EFF coalition. And if there's one thing worse than an ANC government, it's an ANC-EFF coalition, because then the tail will definitely wag the dog. That is why it's so critical for us to get over 50%.
I mean, because why wouldn't they have done it before though? Why wouldn't they have done it like now with the EFF and the ANC? Was there not enough?
The EFF didn't have enough power in the last votes.
Yeah, you must remember that the EFF contested its first election in 2014. And in 2016, we were just able to make it into a coalition. We were only 4 seats short of an overall win. 4 seats short of an overall win. We got 47%. We needed that 50% plus one. And those 4 seats we were able to get from the UDM, from COPE, from the ACDP. This time, if the EFF takes a big chunk of the vote from the ANC, and we don't get over the finish line as we did last time, you may find that the EFF and the ANC get over the finish line first, because the EFF's much bigger now than it was in 2016.
And then, if we get this the 50 at the moment with NMB as well, we've got the AIM party now that has come through as well. With Kusta Jack, who started that as well. And what do you think about that?
I like Kusta very much, and I think he's a good O. He's a regular good O. I mean, he was in the UDF, like I was in the Western Cape, and he was here in the Eastern Cape. He was a big name in politics. The problem is that one-person parties just can't cut it in our system. One-person parties, even if they get a seat or two, what are they going to achieve? You need to be a big team that can run a government to actually get things done. It's just as simple as that. And you need to be backed up by people in the province. You need to be backed up by people in the national parliament. It's an enormous team effort because so many of the powers are divided up between local, provincial, and national government. So single-person parties may grab the imagination for a short period of time, but believe me, on your own, you can't get things done.
And there's a tradition of that in this country. You only have to think of the good party. You have to think of the lady that you were briefly in coalition with, Mampela. She nearly went broke. Because what it is you ride on the coattails of a name, but there's actually not an infrastructure to back that name up. And
Absolutely.
With a party, it's so easy, as we live in personality politics, and you think of Trump, and you think of Johnson, and you think of even people like Merkel or Macron. They are riding huge infrastructure. That's how they get, and they maintain power.
That's exactly right.
If you don't, surely your biggest challenge was starting with the party. I think you went and you started that Khayelitsha branch. There were 2 people.
Yes.
I remember reading that you went in your old bucky. Was it a Datsun?
No. I had a little Opel Corsa.
Oh, really?
You went in an Opel Corsa and you started the Khayelitsha branch with 2 people.
All of those branches I started usually with one person. Sure. There are a huge number of wards there, and I started a branch in every ward.
And that's how you get power. It's the infrastructure.
It's the infrastructure. I mean, now we have got a candidate in every single ward across the whole of South Africa. This is the first time ever There are about 268 local authorities, and there's scores of wards in each of them. There've many, many, many wards, and the process of selecting candidates on their own is an enormous process. I mean, in the DA, you have to write tests, you have to pass an interview, you have to give a speech, you have to ensure that you've got political and leadership skills. You've got a whole battery of tests that you've got to go through. So to do that in the furthest outpost of KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, the Northern Cape, everywhere, takes huge infrastructure.
But important, because you need to have the people that are representing know their stuff, and also you need to weasel out the guys that are not going to do well, or they're going to be dodgy. You know, you need to.
Well, we don't always get that right. But of course, we're not perfect. I mean, no party's perfect, but we do better than any other party.
Is
and that it's compared to what? That's the question.
I think that's for me. We only have to. For me, often the communication in politics is the biggest problem. How do you present a problem, acknowledge a problem? But eventually this comes down to, when you got an estate agent or a bank or any other service provider, you don't expect them to be perfect. You just go to the best one available. And based on track record and value for money, and that's kind of what you're selling.
That's what I'm selling. That's what I'm selling. And you know, communication is very difficult in politics, because if you're a brand like Nike or Fitch and Leeds or Spar, you create your own communication that gets transmitted, usually unfiltered, unless you have an unmitigated disaster. For example, if we had if we had a spider in one of these tins, that would be an issue. No, there would never be a spider. That's what I can say. There'd never be anything wrong with Fitch and Leeds.
Of course
but you see, you can then get your own message across. We have so many intermediaries in politics, and we have this whole breed that I have a lot of undisguised contempt for, called political analysts.
It can't be undisguised. It's just contempt. Just say it for what it is. Don't be a politician. It's contempt.
And they haven't a clue what they're talking about. But they don't let us get our message across. They always have to mediate it. They've always got to twist it. They've always got to turn it. They've always got to say what they think we said. They say, for example, the DA's got a race problem. Well, that's hilarious, because we are the only inclusive non-racial party. We are the only party that has a raft of mayoral candidates of all different races. We've got one white male, to be sure, in Cape Town. But we've got a range of what Dr. Mpho Palatse, we've got Randall Williams, we've got Rufo Wentseche, we've got Ngababanga right here in Nelson Mandela Bay, we've got provincial leader. We are the one non-racial party. But when the ANC's entire leadership is only one colour, which entire NEC is only one colour, where all its mayors are only one colour, suddenly the DA's got a race problem. I mean, this is madness. And that is how our message gets distorted, warped, and presented in a completely wrong way. That's why I like to talk directly on radio, where people can't distort what I'm saying, where I talk to people like you, where they can't distort what otherwise it's just open season.
So can I ask then about two communication problems which you're facing at the moment? At the moment, Godzilla has made her return to the headlines with the 20% coalition U-turn, non-U-turn decision. What is your version of those facts?
My version of those facts is simply this. We try to be as big as we can, and in a proportional system, coalitions are the natural outcome. And it's unusual to get 50% plus one in a coalition, very, very unusual. And if, for example, you look at Europe, any party that gets 25% is a huge party. The Social Democrats in Germany have just got around there, and they were absolutely thrilled to get that. The Liberal Democrats, our counterparts in Germany, got 11%, and they were celebrating. That was huge for them, because they had all kinds of balance of powers and things, because proportional systems drive coalitions. Everybody can stand, they all get tiny little pieces of the pie. But in Europe it works theoretically and practically well, because people get together in different color formations, they name them by the color of the parties involved, and then they reach a new coalition agreement that is widely publicized, and people stick to it, and it becomes a new manifesto, and it's known by the community in that particular town or city, and they hold the coalition partners to account to it. Here we don't do that. And so I've now prepared very carefully, together with our lawyers, a draft agreement, a coalition agreement, that we're going to start moving in the same direction, because we cannot possibly sit with this level of instability and lack of delivery that comes from coalition. So there's absolutely been no about turn ever. We like to be as big as we can, because the bigger you are, the more muscle you have. We would like to win, especially in Nelson Mandela Bay, by 50% plus one, because Nelson Mandela Bay is in the last chance saloon. It is in the last chance saloon. It will not survive another 5 years of ANC government or, God forbid, ANC EFF coalition. And that is why we are pulling out all the stops to win this municipality, because it can still be revived. It is salvageable. But 5 years from now, it may well not be.
Okay, then the other miscommunication problem which the DA has had is...
But that wasn't a miscommunication problem of ours. Let's just
No,
go
no,
back.
no,
Let me just go back
So
one
no,
second.
I was picking up on your thing, is that the miscommunication was the distortion of what had been said and then gets reported into the press in a strange way.
Well, let me tell you how that happened. It was 2 years ago already, 2 years ago, when somebody called Funzi Ngubeni, who was our caucus leader that we just elected in Johannesburg, had been wooed by Herman Mashaba to go after him. And he wanted to see me with some other people about a court case they wanted to take in the city of Johannesburg to keep their plum seats as chair of committees. So we had a discussion about that, and I could see that that wasn't really what some of them were interested in. And I didn't know that they were recording me at the time, and they were asking me a lot of questions. And suddenly, 2.5 years later, they leak a snippet of a much longer contextualized conversation. And the journalists are either unethical or uninformed or gullible enough to take it seriously and make it a story. I mean, on what planet? The context has changed so much from 2019. And the situation and even the context of that discussion and the various alternatives, you know what? Political colleagues sit together every day over a virgin gin and tonic. They sit together every day and they talk about different options for the future. What about this? What about that? What happens if this goes wrong? What happens if this happens? What happens if... That's what we were talking about. And to take a tiny little snippet and present it as Zille's new position is Meshuggah.
That's crazy. I'm glad I'm not a politician, because it would really be difficult.
It's very depressing. It's very depressing. So the other problem which we face on the Bay, in terms of communication, was the mayor's accident. Which felt like it had been dealt with, I can only say, by an ANC spokesperson's department. It was given an official version. We never felt that we knew the facts. We never felt that he came out, took responsibility, addressed it one-on-one. And we're both lucky. We travel around the country. We see the difference that the DA makes at local government and a provincial level. I just drove across this week to Prince Albert, and as you crossed from the Eastern Cape into the Western Cape, the road got better and got cleaner. So I know the difference. But when it feels like we're both playing politics, that's why people go, well, I'm going to give my vote to someone else, or I'm not going to vote. So how do you combat that?
Well, look, that crash was terrible. And it really took the wind out of our sails, no question about that. Ngaba has made a public statement about it, and the matter is being investigated by the police. And until something happens out of that investigation, we accept that his word is what we've got. And his word was that he was attending to a medical emergency, and he has explained to John, our leader, exactly what that medical emergency was. It wasn't his medical emergency, it was a friend's medical emergency. He was dealing with that. Those details have been given to the police so they can check on the authenticity of that. They've investigated it, and they are investigating it, and we will leave it to the course of the rule of law. We are a great proponents of the rule of law. Ngaba has explained his version of the story, why he was breaking curfew, why he was on the roads. If there's anything further to it than that, the police are the mandated public body that has to investigate that, has to get the facts together, has to lay a charge if a charge has to be laid on whatever count it is, and needs to manage that process. And we will act commensurately when that happens.
Okay, because it's all about perception, as you were saying, that it's easy for a version to get out there that is distorted. So in terms of this, because you've just laid out a really procedural, very administratively sound way of doing it. How does the party counter the image that it's playing politics?
Well, let me tell you this. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Because the only thing we can follow is the law and due process. Now, Ngababanga is a sitting mayor. There is only one way in which a mayor is put into a position or taken out of a position, and that is through a vote in the council. You will remember with Patricia de Lille, we tried to act, and the party tried to act. I had nothing to do with it. I had no position in the party at that time. But the party sought to act resolutely and determinedly, but people fight back. And then it becomes a long, drawn-out battle. And so all you have got to fall back on is the rule of law. That is the only thing you've got to fall back on if you don't want a completely unseemly scrap where no one can prove anything in any way. So that's why we're a party of the rule of law. That's why we're a party that says we'll follow the rule of law and due process. This is what Ngaba says. He's a colleague of ours, he's a sitting mayor, until such time as evidence to the contrary arises, and he has been cooperating entirely with the police. We accept his version, not only because he's a colleague and a friend, but also because we're a party of the rule of law and due process. And he is innocent until proved guilty. We have to accept that.
Good. I think this team, basically the team that you've got, the DA team is out there, and relationships have been. I interview on this show. I interview entrepreneurs and business people and people in the community, and they all tell me that it's relationships that make the difference, and that's what the political party. That's what it is. It's all to do with the relationships and who you're dealing with, and I think the proof of the pudding is in how well those DA-controlled municipalities do, and it's self-explanatory. You can see it by the top 10 municipalities in the country.
And Kocha is the greatest example of all.
Kocha is right, yeah.
Kocha was one of the worst.
Yeah.
And you know, Kocha is a fascinating story because in 2011, 2,200 citizens of Kocha voted for smaller parties and independents. Not one of them got enough to get a single seat. Wow. And the DA missed out on getting the extra seat it needed to govern by 800 votes. So the 2,000 people who'd voted and wasted their votes because none of the people they voted for got a single seat. No. If just 800 had voted for the DA, we would have had that extra seat to beat the ANC. Yeah. As it was, the ANC got in. And after 5 years of misery, in 2016, the people of Kocha didn't want a repeat. And just in time, they voted for us, and we got in. From being one of the worst municipalities in the Eastern Cape, we're now the best. Yeah. Kocha is in the top 10 nationwide, and now we've got a really stable government there. Yeah. Kocha learned. The question is, can Nelson Mandela Bay?
Yes. Yeah. Also, there's a thing, a lot of people go, does the Cape Town model work in other places? Yeah. And for me, one of the things which I found so stimulating was that there's a little municipality, it's the first one that the DA won, 2001, Midvaal, right in the middle of ANC and territory. Old Afrikaans heartland territory. So just talk a little about that success story, because here it's a big constituency, and the difference between the municipalities on either side and the metros to the north, it is literally light and day.
Well, it absolutely is.
And it's a black mayor, just so everybody knows.
Bongani Baloyi has been our mayor for the last 10 years, and he's done an extraordinary job there with his team. Obviously, it's never a solo effort, it's always with a team. And we've got Mfuleni on the one side and Midvaal on the other side. Okay. Midvaal has won every single award that there is to win for good service delivery. Wow. It has attracted huge amounts of new investment. Yeah. It has the lowest unemployment rate in Gauteng. And it has the best service delivery record of any municipality in Gauteng and probably in the northern provinces. Yeah. So Mfuleni has the worst record of all. I mean, the sewage has completely collapsed there. The water is undrinkable. And the unraveling has gone so far that I don't know whether it's reversible. Yeah. And these are two municipalities right next to each other. Same context, same everything. The DA won one, the ANC's governed the other consistently throughout, And the difference is literally night and day.
And that's a 20-year test case.
That's a 20-year test case.
So, for instance, one of the things which I loved about it was that there was a huge pick and pay warehouse, I think, that they've been trying to get going in Kempton Park. 300,000 square meter warehouse. You can imagine the jobs and the investment. They had been battling for, I think, 2 3/4 years to get that cleared.
Yeah.
They applied to Midvaal. They got it in 8 weeks, I think, the clearance.
Yeah.
And now all those jobs and all that infrastructure is going in. And it is... So people go, I don't like politics, I just hate the politics. I don't want to get involved in politics. And I keep wanting to say, everything you did today, whether it was the car you drive, the safety belt you wore, you drive on a road, where your children go to school,
Whether the water came out of your tap, whether you could flush your
was
toilet.
a political decision. And if you don't vote, you are just going, throwing that vote down the toilet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say to people, if you're not interested in politics, politics is very interested in you. And you don't even know when it's taking an interest in you. You don't even know when it's taking. But now people should know. I mean, why do you think we're on stage 4 load shedding? And in Cape Town, we are 2 stages lower because the city of Cape Town generates its own electricity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we are soon going to be forcing the purchase of power from independent power producers so that we have no load shedding. We're going to be a city that's load shedding free. And that is because we're driving our powers to the last inch. So we're 2 load shedding stages lower than the rest of the country. So that's politics.
Yeah.
So in terms of politics and the votes, I'm just taking over here.
Yeah,
but you
no,
can see
that's
it's my
fine.
passion.
This always takes over.
He should have worn his banana suit. The Banana Republic suit.
Okay, that's where I'm from, Zimbabwe. Don't curse my first president, Canaan Banana, who was... So it's not just 50 plus 1.
Yeah.
It's 50 plus 1 in the right number of wards, isn't it?
Well, you see, we have a proportional representation system, and I'm glad you've asked that because that is absolutely critical. Everyone who goes to vote has a vote for their ward candidate, so that's your councillor who's standing, and you have a vote for the party list. And at the end of the election, in a particular municipality, say Nelson Mandela Bay, all the votes get added together. All those that went for the ward candidates and all those that went for the list of any particular party. So, for example, the DA votes, everyone who voted for a DA candidate, we've got a candidate in every ward, they get added up. And then everyone who voted for the DA on the list gets added to that total as well. And the entire total, the percentage that comprises of all of the votes, is the percentage of the seats that you get in that council.
And that's why your vote, one vote, can literally be the difference.
Absolutely. I was elected mayor of Cape Town on 2 votes. So the bottom line is this. If you go out and vote, you get 2 votes, and those votes are really important. There are people who say to me, well, I'm going to be away, but I live in a safe DA ward, and so my council will get elected anyway. Yeah. I'm saying to you, no, because that vote is not only for your councillor. That vote for your councillor gets added to the total for the city as a whole, and then your list vote gets added to the total for the city as a whole. So you're taking out two votes from us.
And if you don't use that vote, basically you are disempowering your safe DA ward councillor, because he could be in a coalition, under a coalition government between the ANC and the EFF, and they're going to have no power. They're going to ensure that anything that happens in the DA ward gets started.
Gets absolutely nothing. Yes, that's another thing that people don't understand. They say, I've got a DA ward councillor, but nothing happens. This is in ANC.
This is a very cool question.
That's Gordon Wright he's actually ex-PE, he's in the Karoo. He organises the wine festival there. Fantastic chef. He says, Auntie Helen, a question. If you do win the metro, is it actually fixable? Is it not a poison chalice?
Well, Nelson Mandela Bay is entirely fixable. Yeah. Look, it's going to take us 1 term at least, maybe 2 terms, to fix the water infrastructure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we're not promising anything sexy. We're not promising anything sexy.
Oh, come on, man. A little bit of sex would be nice.
I know.
But you're away for a month, so don't bring it up.
I tell you, at my age, you are very pleased that that's part of the reason. But
I've got blushing. Helen Zille is blushing. She is.
It's just the reflection of my beads. In Nelson Mandela Bay, it is fixable. We can fix the potholes. We've done 9,000 potholes in the last while we've been in. We fixed those. We can fix the water infrastructure. That's a big one. We can start pushing very hard to generate our own electricity. That's another big one. We can fix the sewage systems, we can fix the street lights, but it's all the basics. And once the basics get fixed, it becomes a virtuous cycle. People start having confidence in the place. It starts looking decent. People start investing in the place. They start opening restaurants and other businesses. You start getting your pick and pays, putting huge warehouses and various other projects happen there. You start having people wanting to use your port much more. So it becomes a virtuous cycle if the basics are right. And we always say, you know, decay happens very slowly at first and then very suddenly. And it's the same thing with improvement. Improvement happens very slowly at first, and then it suddenly just takes off.
A tipping point, I suppose.
It's the tipping point up and the tipping point down.
Just so that people can get some kind of yardstick. Give us some figures if you can. I know that your encyclopedic memory. 2006 Cape Town versus your budget now, 2006. How much has the city grown in terms of investment and stability?
Look, it would be very difficult to say because I would have to add all of the statistics of Wesgrow and the city. But we had a huge surge in investment, especially when Cape Town won all of the awards of being the best tourist destination in the world, actually. And that was by the long-haul travellers on British Airways and other long-haul places. So that kind of thing gave us a huge surge, and the investment in hotels in Cape Town and the investment in businesses with people moving from other parts of South Africa and establishing their businesses in Cape Town with foreign investors like Hisense and others coming in. There's another one that makes non-woven cloth that is coming, you know, things like sanitary pads and various other things, babies' nappies, all of that. They've come in as well. So all of those things added up comes to billions. And it's really all started when we saved the central city of Cape Town. We didn't allow our central city to go to seed.
Decay.
We saved it, and when you save that, it becomes the goose that lays the
CBD.
golden egg.
It's the
We've got the MBDA here that's working hard yet to do, and they're doing wonderful things. I love what they're doing in the town. And I mean, our city is, and I say town because actually in the back of my mind, PE always seems like a town that's become a city. You know, it's still got that small
town
feel. It has got a feel to it, and I'm so positive about PE because it's got so much to give. You know, it's got the beaches, it's got beautiful weather. Not like today, it's a bit muggy, but it's amazing.
Nelson Mandela Bay is such a fabulous place. You know, I've got a colleague who's been driving us around here everywhere, and they are the most beautiful places. A beautiful old town centre that can be upgraded to something quite spectacular. The houses in Mill Park, Stanley Street. I mean, you've got the most wonderful places, nooks and crannies, lovely little car shops, beautiful restaurants.
Good history.
That beachfront could be fantastic. What is that?
How are you going to ensure the appointments at local government are competent and properly trained to do things like procurement, like in the Western Cape government, who are amazing for us as professionals on infrastructure development? Payment is prompt and the only province that is so. So these people are obviously suppliers, supplying the Western Cape government, and they're saying, can you turn around a corrupt bureaucracy to ensure that it becomes honest and efficient? Can you do that?
Template for it.
It's difficult and it takes a bit of time, but it's entirely possible. We have to have a good city manager. Now, you remember we appointed a good one, Johan Mettler, when we came in. And he started making sure that there wasn't political interference in tenders and that they weren't being manipulated. And of course, he was hounded out of office by the ANC as soon as they could, because they didn't like an honest person at the top. So it all starts with your city manager. You have to appoint the best person you've got, and then you have to do the Section 56 appointments and ensure that those are the executive directors at the very top, and they are on contract, which is why they're called Section 56 appointments. And they are the directors, let's say, of the utilities. They're the director of roads. They're the director of all of the big service departments. They're the executive directors, and you've got to get really good people into those. You've got to have your integrated development plan. You've got to have your key term of office priorities. You've got to break them down into achievable milestones. You've got to have indicators as to whether you're achieving those milestones, and your politicians have to oversee all of that, but not try and manipulate the outcome of appointments or tenders or things like that. And if you do that, You'll get it right.
It's like a
Takes time.
juggernaut, this whole thing. It's just...
I'm laughing because when I was writing, I used to call Helen an administrative Amazon. So I wanted to ask her, because you know, an Amazon was those women who just went out and conquered the world.
Yes.
And it seemed to me that she loved the nuts and bolts and seeing if that person in that office on hall 4 of floor 5 had been told to do their job and had they committed and done, they ticked this box. When you step down from leading Western Cape government, so losing the job of being an administrator as delivering on a political vote, how strange was that for you? Was it liberating? I suppose it was both. But how much did you miss being able to transform on an administrative level?
You know, the one thing is that I'm really good at picking the right people for the job, and then I'm very good at delegating. And I genuinely don't think I'm a micromanager unless something's going really wrong.
You're a little bit OCD.
But I have systems that tell me if things are going wrong.
Oh, system.
And you've got to have the system that
yes.
tells you whether things are going wrong. And then you move in and you say, this has to go like this and this.
I did once send her an email which said, I'm not bossy, I just have very good ideas that need to be implemented.
Exactly.
There's some question over there. Does the DA have a chance of winning Johannesburg? I'm concerned that it may fall to the Action SA and a coalition of EFF, ANC.
Now, that is a very important question. Look, Action SA have said they're prepared to go into a coalition with the EFF. We are not prepared to go into coalition with the EFF. We've learnt a lesson.
Yeah.
You cannot go into coalition with people who share none of your values. And you cannot even go into a governance arrangement, because we weren't actually in coalition with them, we were in a governance arrangement with them. You can't do it. And in order then to stay in government, you have to dance to their tune. And we've learned that lesson. I was dead opposed to it when we decided to do it in 2016, but you'd lose some and you win some. I was dead opposed to it. And it was inevitable that it was going to fall apart and end in tears. Yeah. You see, in the future of politics, the real contestation is between the EFF and the DA. That's the real contestation. The DA knows what it stands for. We stand for constitutionalism, non-racialism, the rule of law, the separation between party and state, a market economy with safety nets for the poor. That's what we stand for. Absolutely clear platform that everyone understands. Yes. The EFF stands for a very clear platform too. They stand for the party controlling the state and the state controlling the economy. That's totalitarianism. Yeah. They stand for racial nationalism. They stand for a polity that is accountable upwards to a leader rather than a leader who's accountable to the public. They are the dead opposite of the DA. Yeah. Now, what does the ANC stand for? No one can tell you. Some people.
Which ANC?
That's the point.
Yeah,
that's the entire point. Which one of, not of the two?
Yeah. No,
which one of the many?
Yeah, I once attended a function where I was emceeing, and there were like 3 mayor's chairs at that time, because there were like 3 people who were claiming to be mayors and 3 people who were claiming to be managers. While we're on the big, while we're running on the big metros,
yes,
Tshwane has Solium Simango has managed to stay on course there.
Well, Solium Simango is our leader in Gauteng, but the mayor there is Randall Williams. And we had a really, really tough time in Tshwane because we had this very brittle coalition and we were a minority government. And so what happened then was that the ANC tried to seize power 2 years ago through the province by putting us under administration. And from having a budget surplus, having a very high rating of financial stability, they really leached Tshwane of all its money in the space of 18 months while we were fighting in court to get that administration declared unlawful, which it was. Yeah. And eventually the Constitutional Court confirmed that that was a power grab and unlawful. But in the meantime, they'd managed to loot all the money and take it all away. Yeah. So we have to fight these battles to establish a principle, but it makes it impossible to govern. And that is why, again, we must get 50% plus 1. Yeah. When we've got 50% plus 1, they can't play these games with us.
It's Coca.
Yeah.
It's a Coca model.
It's Coca, not Joburg.
It's Coca, not Joburg, not Tshwane.
Okay.
and that's why everybody has to vote.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 votes. It's 2 votes.
2 votes, yeah.
And it's not only a vote in your ward. It's a vote across the entire metro.
Okay.
And people need to also understand that this really is do or die, make or break, now or never for Nelson Mandela Bay.
Just read the O'Connor's one,
yes,
because
yeah.
that relates to Gary.
Yeah, he was just worried about Bishu, the Bishu legislature. But why has there been an increase in independents standing for these local government elections? Are they principled and maybe disgruntled with existing parties, or is there strong financial inducement? It sounds.
Well, you know, I don't want to generalize about anyone, because you might have some really good people.
Like Mr. Jack.
Yeah, you might have some really good people who have a bit of a local following, and you might have some others who are highly unprincipled and expedient. So you can't generalize about anybody, but people must understand how the system works. And as a one-man band, it's hard to do anything.
Yeah, as a one-man band, you can't achieve in politics. This is back to your... So I will allow you to beat Ferry Al-Haffajee a little more.
There we go.
Why does it seem that mainstream media is so hostile towards the DA?
Well, I've written a whole book about that, so I'll try and do a very brief summary. Basically, the entire English-speaking world emanating from the United States has been seized by something called critical race theory, or identity politics, or wokeness, which basically argues that whiteness, which is the entire history of Enlightenment values and the institutions built up through them, are therefore not for progress and have not benefited the world, but have simply entrenched and disguised the inherent white supremacy and white racism that exists and that is immutable and unchangeable in white people, and that these institutions can't be made inclusive and can't be made to serve everybody. Because of the inherent nature of whiteness, they have to be broken down and destroyed. Now that gets taught as an article of faith in universities now all over the English-speaking world. They started with critical legal studies in the United States, but it's now spread all over the world. And whiteness, and then it's very easily translated in people's minds to whites, become the problem in society. And whites become the problem in South Africa. And so the whole vision of non-racialism, of inclusivity that was once at the heart of our Constitution and remains at the heart of our Constitution, becomes a problem. And this notion of anti-racism, which has got nothing to do with non-racialism, anti-racism is about identifying the inherent racism in every interaction, in every context, even if the people involved in it don't recognize it or don't see it or don't think it exists. These anti-racists, these social justice warriors are there to uncover it and to shame people and to cancel them out of society if they disrupt a woke narrative. So it's an absolute strict hegemony of an ideology, almost like a cult, that has seized people, and it's become the establishment. It's not anti-establishment as it claims to be. It's become the establishment. And when people come out of humanities faculties, especially in English-speaking universities, but the Afrikaans ones aren't immune to it either, they go into the media, they go into arts and entertainment, they go into corporate social responsibility, they go into all of those high human contact professions. And that seizes it like a cult religion.
So there are two things. Somebody said they were watching Graham Norton the other day, and Billy Porter said to Harry, what's his name from the Young Group?
Styles.
Yeah, it's easy for you because you were white and straight. I was gay and talented and black, and that's why I made it. And that's kind of the narrative of, because you are white, there is something entrenchedly flawed in your power, which comes to you. But so that's the media's take on it, as you talk.
I mean, we're the only non-racial party, but for as long as the majority of white people support the DA, and the majority of white people, 97% of them in fact, voted for a party with a black leader, that makes no difference at all. Because as long as the majority of white people vote for the DA, even if they are far outnumbered by people who aren't white, there's a problem with the DA.
Okay, so how do you change that narrative? How do you change that
Well, you
narrative?
fight back. You don't pander to it. You have to fight back with everything you've got. And you don't apologize for who you are. I can't help who I am. Judge me on the content of my character, not the color of my skin. Have I got integrity? Do I say what I mean and mean what I say? How do I treat other people? Are my ideas, do they intrinsically have merit? You see, again, for the woke cult, science is a huge problem because science is a manifestation of the way that white men have defined the universe and control it. And for that reason, person's lived experience has the same equivalence as Newton's laws of motion. And so my lived experience, whether or not it has any validity in terms of a reflection of reality, is as important as E equals mc squared. You see. And so the whole of science has to be challenged. That's why that Science Must Fall video that was made at UCT wasn't some kind of aberration. They were dead serious about it. And so you've got to understand what we're up against. And you've got to understand that this is a seizure of social media, which is used as a multiplying platform in order to cancel people, shame them if they disrupt a woke narrative. If they say what they think is a truth or what may be a truth, people are allowed to have ideas that differ. But then if you disrupt that narrative, you have to apologize, you have to fall over yourself, and it's never enough. The more you apologize, the less it's accepted. And it's a big acknowledgement that you don't apologize. Fight your corner.
Their philosophy is it's driving everything apart. That's
No, of course, they want
global
it.
thing.
They want it to be driven apart.
Trumpism and
that's the culture
Dems.
wars. That's the culture wars. And those of us who want to build inclusive, moderate, rational political centers are completely split and driven apart by them. But let me also say this. In America, you can say something for wokeness because it is meant to empower what is seen to be a threatened minority. It isn't threatened, but there we go. A threatened minority. In South Africa, black people have almost exclusive political power. And so one can't say that it's a power bereft group. And so it makes no sense to start saying that white people are the problem in South Africa. Then, of course, if you're the EFF, you come to, well, whites have all control the economy. Now, their idea of the economy is like these Fitch and Leeds tins on this table here. I wish people could see them. There's some Fitch and Leeds tins on the table here.
Lovely.
And this is the economy now. And if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, you only have one of them. That's not the economy. We can have an endless number of Fitch and Leeds tins if we can create conditions for economic growth. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not if you have more, I have less. It's abundance.
Abundance. We
But
want
here
abundance.
we're saying, okay, we've only got these, and they've got to last us for the next 6 years. And if you get 7, then I only get 1, and I'm going to fight for the rest. It's a
We can
mad
make more.
philosophy. It's people who are economically illiterate argue that.
You need to get more Fitch and Leeds so that everybody can have one.
Vote for Fitch and Leeds.
There you
That's the
go.
thing.
Claire Deacon saying, well, how will you address crime and local policing? That's over here. I actually noticed police meter maids on the streets here today. I did.
Oh, meter maids. That's a while
Yes,
ago.
I know.
In Cape Town, you can pay for you have to rent your house out for a week to pay for your parking.
Parking, that's for sure. That's
No,
for sure.
we had. I noticed that I haven't seen the traffic department out for a bit as well, I suppose with COVID and everything too. But I mean, obviously there's a plan in place as well for all these things.
Well, we've got a number of metro police, and we're going to double that very soon.
Okay.
But if we get in, obviously, you can't double anything if you don't get in. And it's all budget dependent. I mean, we've got to spend a lot of money fixing the water infrastructure. Because you don't want to have water infrastructure where you're losing 44% of your water to leaks.
Nooit
And
gedacht.
the only reason that Cape Town survived that drought was that we had one of the lowest rates of water loss in the world, because we had fixed the pipes.
Wow.
So you've got to fix the pipes, and you've got to fix the electricity reticulation, and you've got to invest in sewage systems, and you've got to invest in wastewater treatment plants, and you've got to invest in refuse dumps, and you've got to invest in all of those things, because when those things stop working.
So there's another question here, which I think is quite good, because I think it's also those people who want to go away and think that their vote won't count.
Oh yes.
If the DA wins NMB, will it not be held back by Bishu and the ANC in Bishu? She's chewing her ice here. I'll extend that question. ANC runs the province, and as we know, the Eastern Cape, aside from vaccine delivery, has had major problems as an administrative. But will you not be in battle with the province?
Not if we get 50% plus 1. Because then we're an independent sphere of government, and there's a whole raft of jurisprudence which says that the province can't interfere in the city and can't interfere in the city's administration. We ran that with the Erasmus Commission when they tried to get me out of power in 2006 with that fake commission that they set up in Cape Town. And we fought that off. We fought it off in Tshwane, for example, where they tried to put us under administration there so the province could control it. And we did exactly the same in Nelson Mandela Bay when they tried to prevent us holding a meeting to elect Ngababanga as the mayor. Remember, that was an interference from there, and then they wanted to put us under administration again here, and we fought it off. If we have 50% plus one, we are safe from interference from the province.
Sure. So we got to get it done, and everybody should be voting. If you haven't registered, go and register.
No,
You
you
bastards.
can't. It's too late, you bastards.
Oh, damn
It's too late. How are you registered?
Yeah, I'm registered. I'm so registered.
You better be, and don't lose your ID before Monday.
No. I've got a couple of IDs.
Yeah, well,
I'm
he has
even
one
got
for
the
each
green
of his,
book as
he
well.
has one for each of his personalities.
Okay,
so
good.
he just looks in the morning and finds which one is
So you can
going
go
out.
for Mr. Pineapple.
Yes.
And are you going home on Tuesday?
I'm going home tonight.
Tonight.
Because I've got to vote on Saturday. And
Oh,
I'm
right.
coming back
That's
on
why we
Sunday.
had
Why
to
do you
have
vote
our
on
thing.
Saturday, not Monday?
I'm having a special vote because I've got to be in Nelson Mandela Bay on
Ah,
Oh, lovely.
Helen's
She's
special.
coming-
You
she's
see,
coming
she
in.
gets a special
No,
vote.
no,
Angie
no,
Jones
no,
is
no,
That's
no.
what-
there's
Anybody
lots of
can
love.
register
That's what
for a
comes
special
when
vote.
Jacob Zuma sends you love letters saying, I'm thinking of you. It was a very... you got a great lot of reaction to that when this
Yeah,
man
some-
who is deeply misunderstood and I don't think was the right leader, but you provided a very nice humane side to yourself and to him because
Well, I got a big clapper from some quarters for that, from the woke crowd. From the woke crowd.
yeah, but it's almost like you have to, as you say, you have to just ignore it and
Oh, yeah.
in some way not engage with it. You just have to go, this is the human experience I had with this person.
Yeah. And it was the human experience. No person who is so unexposed to what constitutionalism is should ever be put in a position of running a constitutional democracy.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what happened with that.
I got bits and
Basically,
pieces.
Helen was under investigation by the DA at that time through a whole lot of political infighting. And Jacob Zuma sent her a message saying, I'm thinking of you, be strong. And she stood and cried when she read this. Because her own party, which she'd fought for and built and led, had put her under
But is that,
investigation.
and then he getting that from Jacob.
So it just put the human side
Yeah.
to him and the human side to her, because it's easy to just say, all politicians are crooked, all lawyers are crooked, all teachers are lazy, but that's the lazy way of talking.
That's a very lazy way of talking. And you can never generalize. You
No,
can
you
never,
can't,
ever generalize. I won't go out here and say all men in Nelson Mandela Bay wear pineapple suits.
Well, I wish they would.
Well, you just haven't been here on the right days, you know, Helen. We're a very adaptable province.
Well, okay. I think it's time now to get on to just to get a little bit getting to know you as well as a person, Helen. So we've got a getting to know you session, which we have a special thing for you. Philippa can find it. There's second one down. There we go.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
This was made.
Getting to know.
1956.
1956.
I was 5 years old then.
Oh, well, you know. Oh, excellent. I love it. It always makes me feel a little bit happier.
A little bit younger.
Yes. Oh, no. The most nervous that you've ever been? When is the
Most
most
nervous that I've ever been.
Can you think of a time when you were really nervous about something?
Yikes. I've got to think hard now. When was I nervous? When I was nervous?
You must have made a big
no.
speech or something.
No. 2019, 2020.
Oh, yeah, this is true. When I had to make a choice of whether to marry the person I was engaged to start a relationship with my current husband.
Oh,
So that was a very serious
Look,
thing.
she's
I
still
was-
worried.
She's still worried. Yes,
I'm still getting tense. I didn't know which. Oh no, that was terrible.
It's
it was
not a
terrible.
big decision. It's
Those
a
were
big-
serious nerves. I did not know what to do.
Even you know what to do any other time, but to come
And
to
I
relationships.
suppose, oh yes, and then this other time when I used to play music exams on the piano.
Oh, do you play a bit of music as well?
Man alive, when I used to have to go into those music exams
Yes.
as a little girl.
We have to do that all the
I
time.
was
Yeah.
going to die.
But that's why we
and my
do our
hands,
job.
My hands used to shake like this,
Yes.
and I used to have to go and play the piano.
Oh my word. Yes. No, well, we do that all the time. Helen,
good,
so
good. Well.
Stop moaning about those silly little
Well,
things.
I tell you,
Shut up and run the country. Don't bring up your nonsense now.
Piano stuff.
I was terrified.
You still play a bit then?
No, I played the flute after that quite a lot. Yeah, and then my husband, my son plays the violin.
Okay. Now the flute is very nice as opposed to the drums, which I play here, which
I could
is
see
to
that. I was
carry
getting a bit
them
nervous.
around.
Yeah.
You have to carry the
Schlep them
flute around. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
a problem.
It's easier. Yeah, a lot easier.
Obsessions that you've had over the years, or any rituals or obsessions, things that you had.
Sure, but obsessions. Well, I've given up a lot of my obsessions, as people who work with me tell you. I couldn't. I used to work through the night to get my stuff done,
Sounds like Gary.
and I
Hemmings,
used to get really, really, very obsessed if I hadn't finished what I had to do. And now I'm much more relaxed about that. I know that it'll get done.
Are you just more forgetful? Did you
No,
forget what to do?
No, I don't forget. You know what cured me was having so many people running my life when I was the premier. And I thought, I can let this go. And I can let that go.
Her PA was a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
She was an absolute...
She was an absolute Rottweiler.
And she laid down the law for me. But I knew she was absolutely looking after me and had my back. And so, every night I'd go home with a file, and I'd read through the file. I'd know exactly what I was doing the next day. Nothing dependent on me. I just knew it would all happen. And I just had to rock up and do the things
And
that
you
I
could
was
let
supposed
go.
to. Yeah.
So you were
It's very,
you were
very
a
nice.
little bit more.
I was strongly controlled, and I'm much less so than I was.
Okay. We'll have to ask. We'll have to ask her husband.
Yeah,
Yes.
ask him.
He knows.
Glad to hear about Helen. I have something in common. She plays the piano. I play the organ.
You probably play properly, I promise you. After my first 2 concerts, when I nearly died of nerves, I kind of...
Oh, really? So you did a little bit. You must come down stage with us once.
Oh, yes.
When we do a show, the next time we do
I've
a
only
show.
got 9.5 fingers, which probably accounts for the fact that I got so nervous.
How did you lose your finger?
You're just a rotten musician. Admit it.
There's got to be a
That's
story.
true.
How did you lose your finger?
Yeah, you see, I put it in the electric mincing machine when I was...
No! Oh,
I was trying to work out how it worked, so I stuck my finger in and switched it
How old were you?
3.
Oh, shame.
Oh, it's just what it's just what you don't want.
I had seen my mother working it, and I thought I'd get up and find out how it worked. And,
Oh, sweet Lord! Imagine your poor mother.
my poor mother did take some time to recover. Yeah,
Which one is it? This one.
it's my index finger. Yeah.
Oh, so you.
So that's why when I say be the one, I lift up my left index finger because it would look very funny if I lifted a storm.
Be the half.
Yeah.
Be the half.
It's got to be not be the one, be the one.
Oh, my soul! I didn't know that about you. There we go.
Yeah.
You can't go like this.
Yeah.
You can't go like this.
I can't be
What
P.W.
else?
Buerta.
Sorry.
I can't
yes,
be
yeah,
P.W.
but
Buerta
then
if
you
I
need
tried.
the lips as
you
well.
need a full finger to do that.
Peter Dirk Ace used to do the lips. South Africa is. I'll never forget that. The big bear went to the big word.
Big Buddha, yeah, no, big
That was
Buddha.
Big Kurnoff.
Big good enough. Yes, like that was
It
crazy.
was funny, yeah.
All right. And I mean, just having said, are you? Would you say you're on the ADD side or on the focused side?
OCD.
It depends what I'm doing. I am very focused if I'm doing something I'm interested in, and I'm completely ADD when I'm not interested in it.
So what my wife does, Philippa, she's a teacher. She does a doctorate. She's got in ADD and she said that you have hyper focus as well sometimes with ADD. So you can get the.
Well, that's
hyper
probably
with
what I've
others.
got. When I'm working on something that I'm interested in, things can happen all around me and I don't notice them.
Really?
I don't notice them at all. But when they try to take me through correspondence that I'm not interested in, I'm completely ADD. They call me Squirrel.
Squirrel. Squirrelzilla. Vote for Squirrelzilla, Steve.
No, now it's Squirrel Cyril. So
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Your weirdest habit.
my weirdest habit.
Have you got a weird habit?
You've got to ask the people who live with me about all these things.
What
Yes,
time
we
do
are
you
that.
go to bed and finish answering emails?
That depends.
Or making controversial tweets.
I used to, when I've got a really lot of work to do, I will wake up and I will get anxious about it. So I just decide that I get up and I do it.
Okay.
So I'm very good at doing the things I'm anxious about. I don't sit there and chew myself up about it. So if I'm lying here and worrying about it, I might as well get up and do it. Okay. And then I'll work on it for 3 or 4 hours. I might go back to sleep for half an hour or 2, and then I'll get up and be
Get up
fine.
and go.
Yeah. I can get by on very, very little sleep when I need to.
Okay.
And that never comes back to bite you in the bum.
Yeah,
You don't-
I bet they're
you-
overtired.
You don't find that exhausted.
No.
You never really collapse.
I only was totally exhausted when I had 2 little children and started a business, and I was working through the night and they weren't sleeping and all of that. That was a level of exhaustion that I...
Was that the hardest you've ever worked?
It was I mean, doing everything else has been child's play compared to that.
Really?
Isn't that a wonderful statement for women?
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
No, but it's such a good perspective because,
Yeah.
you know, we look to leaders and we go, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you
Yeah.
do that? And often for women, they just go, no, just getting through those 6-7 years was a
It's
miracle.
nothing.
And you suffered postpartum depression
Yes,
as well.
I had 2 of those, 2 big ones.
Really,
So,
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Ian likes to talk about the depression story as well. He's had a fair
Yeah, well,
share.
it's because I'm bipolar. So,
Yes.
when we go down, we go over the edge.
No, depression is a rough one. It's
Yeah.
a real rough one.
And especially now, during COVID, there's so many people that are battling with depression as well.
Depression's a bad thing, and lots of people get it. I mean, most people are slightly depressed, at least at some time in their life. I've had a very bad postpartum depressions too, but that's also a genetic thing. My grandmother suffered from them terribly, and you know exactly what a depression is.
Clinical depression is horrible.
It's horrific.
It's horrific.
Absolutely horrific.
Andrew's saying that the Hardy-Dars are having their say, oh, bloody noisy today.
You know, Andrew Whitfield is talking about us. He's not talking about the Hardy-Dars. He thinks that Helen is the crowned eagle or
the swan.
Yes, and we are the Hardy-Dars.
We are the Hardy-Dars.
Wow, Helen, I wanted to ask you, wow, do you like? Can you cook?
It's over. Me? No, I really am a terrible cook. No, my children used to come home and say, "Hi, Ma, what you burning for supper tonight?" And that goes,
That's so nasty.
I know. And that goes back to this hyper focus and then this ADD.
Oh, I see.
Because I'd be sitting there discussing something, and then I'll see the smoke billowing out the kitchen, And because I'd be focusing on something, or I'd be trying to write an email, or I'd be trying to do something while I was cooking with the one hand. And I'm not interested in the cooking, but I'm
I've
incredibly
just
interested
thought
in
of
the
it.
article.
Can you imagine if she's driving a car
No,
when she's in the wrong conversation?
I hope you've got a hands-free
Hell's
I
teeth,
have
that
got a
must be
hands-free
worrying.
But the only thing I missed from being mayor and from being premier
driver.
was the driver.
The driver.
Man. You do not know how much work you can get done in the back of a car.
I'm sure. You know why
It is
the mayors don't
spectacular.
have drivers? Naba is in an accident. There's a guy that's killed in Joburg somewhere. What was the mayor there as
I
well?
want to tell you,
Drivers.
drivers are the most magical thing in the world. You know, I wrote half my first book in the back seat of a car.
Yeah.
I'd get in the car and say hi.
And
Over
then
there,
Yeah, go for it.
suddenly we'd be at a place. I'll do it. I've had half an hour's work.
Yeah.
You
That's
don't
why
have-
automated vehicles are going to change our lives.
And
They will.
believe me, I can't. I had to learn to park again when I didn't have a driver.
Really? You had to learn to drive
And
again.
thank God for GPS, otherwise I wouldn't get anywhere.
Here she is. Vote for Nelson Mandela Bay. Why am I here? This is Springfontein, and no one knows who I am. Hello?
Where am I?
Is there supposed to just be desert here? Ask another question.
Well, when people drop you a pin sometimes here because the place doesn't seem to be
yeah.
mapped very well by Google,
Yes.
you end up in some very
do.
interesting
Yeah, no,
places.
no.
Yeah, I do. But it happens. It does happen. Okay, so the biggest accomplishment in your career so far, what would you gauge it as so far? You've still got bigger ones to come, you know.
Raising 2 sons who are integrated contributors to society, without a doubt.
All right. So that was a tough one, eh?
Yeah. And politically, what's your biggest accomplishment? Okay, let's change this
I
round.
suppose building up a party that has become a serious political player in South Africa and turning around 2 administrations that inherited from the ANC. But I obviously can't claim the credit either for my sons alone, because I had a very, very committed husband next to me doing that, and nor can I for the party. That's a huge team effort, and nor can I for the city or the province.
But just in terms of the party, when Helen took over, there were 1.9 million votes. When she left, there were 4.2 million votes.
Sure.
As leadership. That is an astounding achievement. In 10 years, that is more than a 250% growth.
Yes, but that was a huge team. And,
Yes,
and
but
the
what-
whole infrastructure nationally that did that.
Yeah, but often
It's
people...
not a one-man band, never.
Awful, because we've been living now under the ANC with the government, good, bad, and indifferent for a long time. People go, oh, can you change it? You can change it. but it's slow and it's difficult.
Okay. Any bucket list items that you still want to do?
Any bucket list items? I would love to go to Norway. I've always wanted to go to the fjords.
To the fjords!
I would just love to see them. I'd love to go on a cruise in the fjords.
That sounds very nice. Bit cold, eh?
Well, and I'd like to see the Northern Lights. Those are some of the things I would like to do.
Well, I don't know if we can do that here, but I think if we go to a pool next door, we can get a little boat and push you around and hold at some things. And Gino can wave some disco lights at you so you can feel like you've had a little holiday.
And, you know, I'd very much like to play a role in my grandchildren's development. And,
Yes, because you're a go-go now.
I'm a hell of a gogo, yeah. I'm Gogo Zille, not Godzilla.
Yes.
That's what I was saying. You should be.
My mother, my kids' grandparents used to call herself the momster.
The momster,
Yes,
well,
the
yeah.
momster, yeah.
Well, my son started calling me Godzilla before anybody else did. Yeah. I'm patty with my grandchildren. Total patty.
Isn't it always the case?
This is a nice one. What's your guilty pleasure?
Yes.
What's my guilty pleasure? What is my guilty pleasure? Jeez.
We're going to let you stew it out.
I know you're going to let me stew it out. What is my guilty pleasure?
She's going through all the list and she's just deleting them.
Yes.
And she's finding the one. She's won the publicly. Do you like ice cream? Do you like chocolate?
Chocolates
Do you
is
like
always the one,
binging on the weekend?
No.
Do you like talking?
None of the above. You know, I've only just discovered Netflix talking about
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
out
The
of it.
series. You watch series.
And Showmax. I mean, I didn't even know how to use them because I've lived such a pathetic life that I didn't even know about. I mean, I've got a chief of staff now who knows all the restaurants, and he's opening my eyes to it. Even I've never had a steri stumpy before, and now I've had a steri stumpy.
ways.
Yeah, I
A
swear.
steri stumpy?
Yeah,
Quote of the
banana
day.
flavored steri stumpy.
Quote of the day,
What
Helen
about-
Zille. I've lived such a pathetic life.
I've had none of these grand experiences. You know, I said to my colleague, "Who buys a steri stumpy?" He says, "Everyone." I
Very
said,
nice.
Well, I
I've
better
never
try
had
one.
one.
Have it?
No.
Thank goodness.
Oh,
I thought I was the only person in the
No,
world.
and you can't say it's a grand experience. It might be nice, a
You know,
steri stumpy, but I don't think it
I had
qualifies as a grand
I
experience.
had never had a coffee from Seattle Coffee in my life before I came here
I
to
can't
Nelson
drink
Mandela
coffee.
Bay.
bucket list. There we go.
She had to come to Nelson Mandela Bay. Now, if you're in
yes.
Cape Town, let me give you directions for your next driving to a Seattle coffee shop.
You're driving next.
This is the trouble. You know, you just, when you're focusing on one thing all the time, like
Yes.
just to get the next thing done in your work, you miss out on all kinds of things that happen in the world.
That's true.
But you won't retire. You'll fall in the traces.
Well, I hope so, because I'll be so impossible.
Oh, no, I was about to say, your husband will make sure that you're
yes,
always
no,
busy.
Guilty pleasure, yes.
Yes.
I've got a very high cholesterol.
Oh.
And my husband is quite sticky about what I eat when he sees me.
Oh.
So I've got this rule that whatever my husband doesn't see hasn't got cholesterol. But when I'm piling on the cream on the scones
Yes.
and the butter on the croissant,
Yeah.
I think of him and feel very guilty.
So that's your guilty
That's my
pleasure.
guilty pleasure.
That's a very good guilty pleasure. Actually.
That's my guilty pleasure. I know he'd be furious, but I do it anyway.
I hope he's listening now.
No, thank goodness he isn't. I hope he isn't.
Well, he can always watch on Saturday. Somebody
Dear
tag him.
Johan, today Helen had a croissant and a scone.
A lot
Lots
of
of
butter
cream. Yeah,
and cream.
cream and cream.
But let me say this, that, you know, I said to my husband one day, just leave me alone. Let me eat what I like, because I only live once and I like these things. He says, well, I don't want you to have a stroke. I said, well, if I have a stroke and die, well, that's fine. He said, listen, I'm not worried about you dying. I'm worried about you being in a wheelchair,
Oh, yeah.
and you will be bloody impossible.
No, you would be the worst patient in the world.
Push me
Does
in
your-
and push
why
me
does
in.
your wife have the tape over her mouth? No, it keeps her jaw from
Yes.
opening. You as a patient, my word.
Yeah, that's what my husband said. So that's why I feel especially guilty. That's why I feel especially guilty. Because I think, what if one day I do and he has to push me around in a wheelchair?
No, the sense of humour will kick and you'll be laughing.
Oh, gosh, I won't be. I'll feel so guilty.
Well, I love this question because it's so telling about people as well. Is the first album that you ever bought, the first LP or record that you ever bought?
Well, I remember getting a little 7 single, and it was,
7 single.
yeah, a 7
Nice, I
single.
like that.
I remember the 7
45.
single, yeah, and I'm trying to remember what tune it was. It must have been an Elvis 7 single.
Elvis.
It must have been an Elvis.
Elvis.
And 7 singles with a new technology then, real new technology then, and it was very, very big.
Jailhouse Rock or one of the ones there.
Jailhouse Rock it might have been, but then I thought, The first album I bought was, I think, Hard Day's Night.
Oh wow!
I was the
With all the
biggest.
photos,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
got all the
I
photos
was
on.
the biggest Beatles fan in
Really?
South Africa, and
Love
I
it.
made it my mission to get every single Beatles track on top of the LM hit parade. Do you remember the LM hit parade?
Yes, LM. Yeah.
But not only the and if you call it OCD, not only that, but the flip side of it too.
Okay, you
That no one had ever heard of, right?
Yes, of course.
The
yes.
flip side of the
like
7
Mr.
singles.
Postman, they all became
And
famous
then-
anyway.
And then, exactly, and Ticket to Ride and all of that
Yes.
stuff, you know. So, LM Radio worked on requests, and I used to buy these piles of postcards, and I used to sit writing requests for the flip side of the Beatles 7 singles.
So you cast multiple votes in the
Multiple
Beatles in the
votes.
LM elections.
I cast multiple votes for those songs, multiple. And I'd sit there and I'd listen to this hit parade, absolutely determined that my song was going to come out on top.
I love
and
it.
I'd write it, all these letters and names and then different names. I mean, pseudonyms, talk about jippering the voters roll.
System.
And I remember one day I'm listening to the hit parade. I thought, is the song now going to get to the top of the hit parade? Is it going to get there? And believe me, they announced it. And I was so happy. I jumped up of my bed and I clapped the light. And it was one of those round paper
yes,
lights, right?
yes.
I clapped it with my cushion.
Oh, my word.
And my father didn't know I was shouting in glee. So he walked in the room. My father was very Germanic, right?
Yes. Oh,
And
like, you know about
And this
Germanic.
bloody light starts unraveling.
Oh, my soul.
And my father stood at the door and he just watched this light unraveling. And I was sitting on my bed like this. How am I going to explain to him what all this chaos is about? Because, I mean, you know, he thought it was complete rubbish. And if I'd spent half my time working on my maths or other things, you know, it would have been time well spent. But I really made it my mission to get the Beatles on the top of the head.
That's very cute.
And you know, I mean, there was no, the Beatles must have made a lot of money out of it.
Well, they surely did.
I think
I
they would
don't
have
know.
survived without Helen.
I don't know if they made any money at all.
Anyway,
actually.
that's why I got interested in elections.
okay.
I was voting multiple
I was voting
times.
them. Okay. Your first job ever?
I was a packer at Checkers in Benmore Gardens in Johannesburg.
really? Okay.
I wanted to do music lessons, and my parents said I had to earn the money to do music lessons, and I went there on Saturday.
And you got so nervous.
No, that was later when I was trying again.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like the fact that I'd given up music. I felt very guilty about that, so I had to go try again.
Right.
It didn't work better
You
the
must
second
have a
time.
jam sometime.
And I packed, and I was really keen. You know, I was trying to be the best packer on the block and
Yes.
get everything right and not squash the peaches and you
Yes.
know make absolutely sure everything was fitted in. And then I got promoted to a cashier.
Oh, nice.
Just telling, just
Excuse
saying.
me,
No,
sir.
because
can
the
I-
other packers saying, no, please take that anal woman off the line. She's making our lives hell. She keeps saying, I'm sorry, but you're squashing your plums over there.
Well, but then you know it was much more complex to be. You didn't just scan the stuff in those
Yeah.
days. You had to put it in, and you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and they used to come and reconcile at the end of the day.
A
and
couple
God
of
help,
cents short, and you had to pay it in.
You got 10 rand a day.
Yes.
That's what I got. 10 rand a day. Yeah. And then they take it off if you couldn't reconcile.
Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad money for that sort of thing.
It was
those
bloody
days.
good.
I
It
started
was.
my first job was in 1989, and I think I got £2 an hour. I think that's
Well,
12 rand
better-
a day.
Yeah, that's 12 rand a day. Yeah. Well, but that was only when I was promoted to the cashier.
Oh, I see.
Not for when I was the packer.
Oh, the packer was okay. Well, we'll put out a good word for you with Spa. Okay.
Well,
Once
please do.
you've done.
I mean, I hope Spa. Yeah, I hope Spa in Frederhoek must employ me.
Okay, Frederhoek Spa. Helen's looking for a packing job there.
I hope they give discounts to packers because they've got the best of everything in that shop.
Oh, they've got a nice.
Yeah, they're famous.
Oh, nice.
If you told me what we would end up
Oh, no.
discussing, that she wanted to be a packer in the Friedrich
I
Spa.
had to get a job,
That's true.
and I might need a job too after this.
Oh, no, it's fine. We'll put in some good words, don't worry. There we go. Just love everything about her and what she stands for, the sense that she makes and how real she is. So thank you, Vanessa. Your pet peeve?
My pet peeve are people who always try to claim victimhoods when they're actually doing quite fine. I hate professional victims, and it really gets my goat. And I hope you've noticed how unspeakably disciplined I've been during this election campaign. I've shut up.
Yes.
I haven't taken them on. I haven't rolled up my sleeves.
No,
None
no,
of that.
been good. Yeah, no, it's been good.
Just wanted someone to acknowledge it.
Yes,
Thank you.
Very
thank
well
you for
done,
that.
Helen.
Well done. Very well
Yes,
held back.
silence is gold.
I mean, when people are genuinely victims, then I have a huge amount of empathy and I do my best to help.
Yes.
But when people try and claim victimhoods, because you can't have any virtue these days unless you're a multiple victim of all kinds of prejudices, that's my pet peeve.
Okay. There we go. Daryl Holmes says, old shop, Durbanville Spa. Now the best spa in the country.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Durbanville Spa. I haven't been to Durbanville Spa,
been to Durban.
but when I fetch my grandson from his little creche up in Friedehoek there, then I get to.
Granny and him can come there for a free ice cream. Hey, Daryl.
And Lord knows the way she drives, I hope he's strapped in.
He absolutely is. But he's the cause of a lot of the problems because he wants me to find speed bumps, and he wants me to go over the speed bumps as fast as I can. And he's 2. He says, "Find a big one bump." He tells me.
Find a big one, bum.
Oh, nice. Big one bump.
And I have to go.
Is he a member of the ANC?
Sometimes I think so. Sometimes I think so.
I think it's probably, I can imagine the conversation. Granny, you've been through 3 speed bumps. Oh my goodness, am I driving?
He wants me to find pink lorries, and we have great fun when I fetch him.
Nice.
I have to go all around and find things now. And actually, outside the Friedehoek Spa is a good hunting ground because there are always unusual cars and things that we see there.
Oh, nice. Okay, good to know. I like
You
cars.
have a dangerous obsession with the Friedehoek Spa.
That sounds like
I'm helping you promote your show and the Friedehoek Spa.
your most nostalgic memory. Have you got one?
My most nostalgic
What's
memory.
the most? A nostalgic. Going down to Cape Town Monday, had enough of PE weeks break, says.
Are you voting
What?
first, Daryl Holmes?
You better vote.
Are you voting?
If you leave without voting...
Watch out, Daryl, you're going to get into trouble on this.
You won't get your visa for Cape Town if you don't vote before you leave.
ANC speed humps, PE's full of them. And Port Holford as well.
Gosh, the speed bumps in Nelson Mandela Bay are bloody terrifying.
No, I know you.
I keep on
lots of
wanting
them.
to bring my grandson here and have an absolute ball.
You would have a ball.
Absolutely love it. And you can't see the damn things.
Yeah, no.
And you're driving along at a reasonable speed and suddenly you go
They're all
flying over one of
new.
these things.
There's lots
They
of
are
new ones around, I
terrifying.
know. So you got the nostalgic memory, something that,
Oh,
that you
gosh,
think
I'm
back
sure
in.
there are millions. I suppose when an old song comes on that I spent my 3 weeks of my life trying to get to the top of the hit parade.
You know, but a song can put you in a place.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely. There's certain songs that put you back in a spot.
Yeah.
And it's in a strange spot. Like, I'll hear a song and I remember sitting in the lounge listening to the radio at that time, doing just that little moment, and it reminds you of all that. It brings out all that feeling.
No, I mean, songs can really do that. Oh, yes, and Mozart's clarinet concerto, the second movement, we played that at my dad's
Well,
funeral.
Ian will know what that is.
Yes, Gino won't.
I-
He's got no there is
I know
no,
it, but
there
I
is no
can't
drum break in the middle of
There's no
the
drum
clarinet
break.
solo.
Ian and I, he's taught me a lot about the classics, you know.
Well, it's about time.
I studied it with him for about two days.
And if you suffer from supreme focus, Gino has the exact opposite. Whatever that supreme focus is, there's Zille and Fabry. It's like there's Fitch and Leeds, there's Zille and Fabry. Hyper focused, yeah.
That sounds like a good brand.
It's good. It's good. All right. Are we going to now? It's a quick rapid fire for the end.
Oh my goodness! Let me
Rapid
try.
fire into the end. All right. It's
Let me
called
try.
the either ors. The either
Either
ors.
or, yeah.
Yes. Carol Jean says you've brought some rain to the bay. You see that?
Good, and
We're
I
in.
hope I bring lots more.
And Crawfordnet as well, which we
Political
so
votes.
need. We need it in Crawford because you know what happens when it rains here? It rains beautifully, but it doesn't rain in the catchment areas. Never does.
Needs to.
Okay. Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Whew. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs, they're just much more loyal. Most important in a partner, intelligent or funny?
Intelligent. I'm sorry, but intelligent, yes.
Your husband's not funny at all, you know.
Well, you know, he's so funny, it's funny.
Oh, somebody tag him.
He's
he
at home
knows
having
that.
a scone. Don't interrupt him
He's
now.
gone now.
He knows that. It really is funny when he tries to tell a joke. 'Cause, you know, anyway,
But I mean, Germanic background, that's not big on humour.
no, that isn't at all. That's why I like intelligence.
You know. Okay, save or spend?
Spend.
Oh, spend. There we go.
No. That's a sore point in my family.
All right. Forest or beach?
Forest.
Oh, we like forest.
I don't like
Don't
sand.
like the sun and the sand. Just the skin, redhead.
Lawn
Yeah,
or lawn or beach. I'll take lawn any day.
Oh, really? That itchy makes you all itchy. Oh, no, I think. Antique or brand new?
I used to say antique, but now I say brand new.
Really?
If you've lived with antiques all your life, you say brand new.
Okay. So you got enough antiques for. Don't buy Helen any antiques.
I love looking at them and I love them, but I don't want to live with them anymore.
But also, a politician, you've got to. That's a thing of a politician. You've got to be changing almost changing your outlook all the time, or being open to all sorts of things.
That's why you can't take a snippet of something that somebody said 4 years ago and say this is what you think now.
No, you can't.
I mean, you don't change your values and principles,
Yeah.
but when circumstances change, you adapt your position. That's what sensible people do.
It has to happen. It has to happen. How are we going to change a country if that doesn't happen?
Anyway,
That's true. All right.
let me not go into that.
Touch or taste?
Taste.
Ooh, like the food. Alone or in a crowd?
Alone.
Alone. All alone.
I like being alone. I've got no
I
problem
think
with
it's
it.
a theory.
But I think when you're Helen Zille, you probably can't go anywhere without somebody going,
She likes people.
I love people, but I like being alone.
Come on, give us a story about time somebody's come up to you and said, what about this? What about the potholes in Potholfred?
Well, I want to tell you, there's not a single time that I go out where people don't say that to me.
Really?
There's not a single time. Sometimes I think I'll get a burqa so that no one knows who I am.
Well, the woke crowd will be thrilled if you take on a burqa.
I won't do that. That was a joke. That was a joke.
This was German humor.
There we are. It was German humor. I will definitely not do that. But sometimes I say to myself, how can I just quickly pop into that shop and buy X?
Yes.
Without having to take down 3 phone numbers to phone people back about the pothole in front of their house or the street light that's out or whatever. I mean, people still phone me. You know, I had the constituency that ran from Crossroads to the other side of Khayelitsha. Everyone had my phone number. Yeah. And today still, if there's a pipe burst, if there's a sewage problem, if a light, I get phoned wherever. And I don't bother to say, well, you know, I stopped being the head of that constituency in 1999. I say, okay, let me try and see what I can do. And I do it all the time.
I know, well, we'll teach you some funny accents. So
Yes, we can do it.
Hello, who's this? Shall wrong number? You don't phone here again. The bloody woman, she doesn't work here. I took her phone.
No, we can get we'll hire a whole lot of Helens, and they can all be nice to those people. That same phone number can be a call
Hello,
center.
this is Helen Zille.
Helen Zille, yeah.
Sounds like Beryl Cohen.
Exactly. Okay, would you rather be painfully aware or blissfully ignorant?
Blissfully ignorant.
Freedom or security?
Freedom.
Ooh, okay. Not so secure, you know. Here we go. Red wine or white wine?
White wine.
Ooh, the early evening kind of vibe. She gets on very quickly.
White wine, definitely.
Flats or heels?
Flats.
Oh, I can see that. You got your flats on there.
Flats.
No makeup or makeup?
Well, if it was up to me, no makeup.
Really? Okay.
But I get bullied. You see, I was voted the worst dressed woman in South Africa by the Sunday Times, yes.
Oh, by Sunday Times?
When I was the leader of the DA, I thought it was a hell of a compliment. I put it on my CV. And I was so pleased with it, but the DA thought it was a wrong image.
Okay, so you
they
needed to
tried to get
She's
me
been
into
addicted to eyelashes ever since.
No,
my word. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Shaving or waxing?
Oh, God, that's a personal question.
That's a Gary
Well, you see,
question.
the great thing is when you get to my age, you don't have to do either.
That's the best answer.
I like it.
It's really lekker.
Would you rather be it's either or extremely smart or extremely lucky?
Sure. I'd like to be extremely smart.
Extremely smart, rather than extremely lucky. You could be very unlucky then.
Well, you know, I really believe in the maxim: the harder you work, the luckier you get. You see, so if you're extremely smart, you get that. So you work really hard.
It's true. It's true. It does. Okay. Would you rather be alone the rest of your life, or always be surrounded by annoying people?
always be surrounded by annoying people.
It's a story of your life anyway.
We hope we've managed to make her dreams come true
I
today.
think we have.
Well, for sure.
Thank you very much, Helen
love
Zille,
you
for
guys.
coming on. There's two questions that I asked before we go that I ask all my guests. One is your most embarrassing moment, or a moment where somebody's gone completely wrong. Okay, and the other one is your proudest moment.
Well, my most something that really went wrong. It was the end of an entire election campaign, I think in the 2014 campaign. It was a huge campaign for us. And I had to speak on a stage in the round, and there was this huge auditorium filled with people, almost like a stadium. And they had a long script where I had to put the DA's offer and summarize the manifesto and, toy and do everything in between. And they put teleprompters around the room, around the thing, and I had to read them and move around and talk and spot and everything. And somebody was sitting in the audience with an actual copy of the speech in case the electricity went off. And now I'm in there and I'm going and I'm talking on this side and that side and turning around to this side and answering that side. And I'm saying, and then there are these 10 key points. And I'm on number 3 and the electricity goes down. And I watched the guy in the audience he's holding my speech and he's looking around. He doesn't realize. So I thought, shit, I've got to make up these 10 points now. And off I went. And there's this and there's that.
And there's other 10 points, and the 9th one is.
And the press are reading the pre-read going, where the hell are these new points coming?
Exactly. Oh, no. So those kinds of things happen. They just happen,
Sure.
And you've just got to be able to do them. I mean, another time there was a very complex topic that I had to speak on, blockchain or whatever. And I wrote my speech and then I was printing it out and I grabbed it from the printer and ran out and got into my car and I'm in there. I'm getting up to speak and I'm looking and I think, geez, no, this isn't the whole speech. Obviously the printer ran out of paper.
Oh, my soul.
So what I said to one of my colleagues who happened to be there, I said, just get back to the office and print the last 2 pages and bring them back. So then I tell jokes, I'm talking about this, and I'm talking about that, and then I start my speech. And literally, as I got to that page,
oh, no ways. That was stress. It's always a stress, isn't it?
But in the end, nothing stresses you anymore. You all know that this too will pass.
Yes.
It will go away, but I am stressed about this election in Nelson Mandela Bay. I have to tell you, I am more stressed about this than I have been about any election ever, and I've gone into lots of elections.
Yeah.
It is so do or die and so make or break for not only the Eastern Cape and Nelson Mandela Bay, but for the whole of the country. We have to show that we can be a viable democracy outside of the Western Cape. That people can make a choice on the basis of a service delivery record rather than on criteria that are not on the ballot paper. And if we can't do that, we can never be a sustainable democracy. And Nelson Mandela Bay is ground zero in this election for that idea.
Okay.
Last plug there by the politician.
Yes,
Good girl.
Fantastic, well done. And
your point, people are waving things in the background.
Make sure you vote on Monday. And thank you so much, Helen Zille, for coming in. And it's an absolute honor to have you in the studio at Gino's spot.
It was really great.
I'm going to now do the competition. Let me get my microphone again. There we go, it's competition time now, and now you'll have to block your ears because it gets loud in here, Helen.
Okay.
All right. And we're going to get to the drums. I want to know the name of the song, and we have to go to the front camera.
Play a Beatles song, I'll know.
I'm going to switch it on now. The name of the song and the name of the artist. Let me just switch it on here. It should be working now. Here we go. And it's the drum cam. Here we go. We've got the drum cam. Camera 3. There we go. All right. No, camera 3. There we go. Camera 3. There we go. We've got the other tech and press auto. And there we go. There we go.
Look at this.
And we got the drum cam. Our technician is new today. You might notice. Because Gary's in the Tsitsi Karma. So this is it. I want the name of the artist and the name of the song. And when you do, switch that off there. And when you the first one to put it in will win a case of Fish and Leeds. All right, let's go.
You really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can sleep at night. Yeah, you really
camera, please. Front camera, number one. There we go. All right, Beverly Erickson. Oh, well done. You've got it. Thank you so much, Helen, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to Ian from Memity for joining in. You really got me. That's right. You're the winner, Benny. And we'll see you on Saturday, where we'll have a rebroadcast of this. And then, of course, on Tuesday next week, we'll be speaking to Greg Khan, I think, next Tuesday. We'll let you know. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Spa. Thank you to Fitch and Leeds. And thank you to Helen. And thank you to Ian. Ciao. All right. To the bottom.
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. Drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver. Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino's spot.